This is episode 243 of the Focused Mindset podcast. And finally, we get to hear from Michael Mushong. And I keep telling you guys that he is going to be on this podcast. And then we had a pump the brakes moment where I had to wait and be patient until I got full clearance to be able to put this episode out. And then after I got clearance, I found that I needed to get a redirection going on and get some new music for my podcast, which you are going to hear right now. And so this is an exciting episode because you get to hear both of those two things. Now, I want you to know that this was recorded during Mental Health Awareness Month. And so you're going to hear us referring to some of those type of things, those conversations that are so important that we have. They're important that we have any time of the year. It's just as relevant now as it is during any other month. And I love talking to people that have persevered through challenges and coming out the other side, because those people give us perspective. They give us the ability to understand that we're not alone when we go through challenges. And that is what we're going to hear about right now. I'm so excited. Let's have some great conversations using the solution-focused approach. I'm Cher Kretz. And as a school counselor, I've learned a lot about how to lead with hope. I've talked about it on the TEDx stage. It's what we discuss right here. And I want to thank you for following this show. You know you can head over to thefocusedmindset.com to get more. Right now, let's level up our mindset so we can be solution focused. Let's go. Hello, welcome to the podcast. This is a unique podcast where I get to interview somebody live. Usually we Zoom in our interviews, but today you get to listen in on a conversation that I have with Michael Mushong.
Correct.
And he's been in the military for like forever. And we're going to just talk to him about the unique things that he comes in contact with as far as helping people with their mindset. And before we even get started, Mike has some things he needs to say to you. So here you go.
Hello, I'm Michael Mushong. Been in the military for about 18 years. But before we begin, I just want to let you guys know that the views and opinions I express in this interview are my own and do not represent the official policy or position of the United States Air Force, the Department of Defense, or the U.S. government.
We've got to get those things over with, right? You're my husband's friend. Mm-hmm. And through the years of you guys being friends, I've just noticed that you're the kind of person that's kind and, just loving and caring. And it always just stood out to me. And so first, before we get started, just thank you for being such a great friend to my husband. As women, we tend to gravitate towards other women and we just talk it out and we go through it. But sometimes guys tend to have a little bit harder time connecting and a little bit hard time finding somebody. So when you guys found each other through video games of all things and became such good friends, it's been such a benefit to him. And then from there, we started talking about the work that you do in the military and how you've always kind of been the type of person that helps people with their mindset. And how is it, do you think, that you became interested in helping people in that way?
I was just born to do it. I've always been kind of going through life with my heart on my sleeve, very open and welcoming to people, but it really took me making my own mistakes and being in a tough way and going through the different helping agencies that they have and really embracing it and speaking the truth from my truth and letting people know that, hey, I need help. And then through that, I got the experiences of mental health. I went through my own suicidal ideations, all those things. So walking that path and being able to do it makes me want to help people succeed as well, because you can mess up, you can make these mistakes, but if you own them and find ways to work through them and embrace them, you can still be really successful in life.
When we think about life as a journey and the ups and downs of life, I think a lot of people look at it like where you're at in life is exactly where you always will be and always have been. But that's not life. I mean, life is full of turns and twists and ups and downs. And if we don't meet someone where they're at, then they'll never be able to move from where they're at to where they were meant to be. When you ask a question, they're like, I don't know what I'm doing here. I don't know what my next step is, you know? And it's kind of like when you're in that moment with somebody, you only get one chance. And that chance of how you react could make the difference of whether they go home and say, forget it, I'm done with life, or whether they say, I can see some other way to handle it. I was so encouraged by a story that you told about someone that you came in contact with that was in that moment. Because of the things you've been through, you were able to be there in the moment. I want you to tell that story.
So this was actually quite a while ago. I think it was probably 8 years. I had a member who was really struggling. Had some relationship issues at home, turned to his drug of choice, and it became really bad. Lost like impulse control. He was the keyboard duster was his thing, his go-to, and he was huffing keyboard duster and driving, and he hit a car, kept driving, and I got the first phone call. Hey, this person, did they belong to you? And then yes, he's mine. Well, he's on his way to the jail. He was under the influence. I was on my way home from PT with the unit and got the phone call, and I was about to turn down my street, and instead I just drove to town just to go see what I can do and be there for him. What he did and his choices were not good, and we want to punish those people for that. But again, he needed somebody to be non-judgmental. So I went to the jail right away. Don't believe what they say, I didn't do it. That's not what happened. And it's like, I responded, I don't care about any of that. How are you doing? Right? And he just like, you could see him relax. And then he's just like, I'm all right. And couldn't really stay with him. He had to like go through the whole process and everything. But I told him, hey, I'm going to be here when you get out. Just call me. Unfortunately, he did not call me. And he went to his house, and he took a cab to his house. I went to his home. I eventually got him out, took him, and we tried to offer him some help again through mental health and the alcohol drug program. He refused it. End of the day, I ended up taking him back to his house, and I just asked him, whatever you do, please don't leave. Just stay home. If you need something, I'll get it for you. Because I knew in the back of my mind that he wasn't going to do the right thing. Sure enough, about 2 hours later, I get another phone call, another DUI for the same thing, and I got to go pick him up again. It was about 10 o'clock at night when they finally released him the second time. And as we were walking away from the jail, he just looked at me and he said, Mike, I just want to die. Really tough to hear that, especially because he was a friend of mine.
And you knew he was serious.
Most times, like right away, sound the alarm, like, hey, we're going to take you to a hospital. Something inside me was just like, no, I'm just going to hang out with you. So I took him, we got a safe room, and like I didn't let him, it wasn't at his house, it wasn't at my house, but we went somewhere else, like a hotel room. And I just sat with him all night and let him sleep, and we talked. He shared his story, what was going on. It was just that connection. And then the next day he said, I want the help. So then we were able to take him to get him to the professionals. And about a year later, he called me kind of randomly, and he said, hey, I'm getting married, I want you there. So like that simple connection that changed his life and kept him here on this earth.
That moment in his mind was like, that was the moment that changed my life. That was like his way of telling you that. And the reason why that strikes me is because there's so many times in our life when we're face to face with something huge like that, and if we don't recognize that moment and be there in that moment with that person, then we might be changing the trajectory of the life. They might not make it, through the night. I don't think he would have. I didn't realize even in the story that was like all within the same like 24, 48 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, he was on a path to death, either accidental or on purpose.
Self-destruction.
Yeah, self-destruction. And what was that like? What was that night like? I mean, you just kind of, everything that you were planning on doing ended and you just hung out with him. What was that night like? What did you guys do?
We really just sat in the room, and then when I stayed awake, just because I didn't want to fall asleep and have him do something while he was on my watch. So I just stayed up all night while he slept, and I watched him sleep.
Wow.
Just to make sure he was going to be okay.
And then in the morning, he said, yeah, I need the help. Mm-hmm. Wow. That gives me the chills. I don't know. There's so many different doctors that talk about suicidal ideation. I mean, of course, it's something that's studied. Like you said, there's professionals in the forces that mm-hmm. that's all they do is help people with their mindset, help people with the suicidal ideation that happens. I think all of us go through those moments from time to time. Mm-hmm. Even when we're not suicidal at all, you're driving on a street and you're like, wonder if I just turned off this cliff right now. Like, our mind is pretty crazy mm-hmm. like that, I started studying. I actually have a book called Beating Suicide by John Hendon. And John Hendon is a psychologist from UK. And he has written 3 books actually on the subject. And what I love about his approach is that he takes a solution-focused approach to suicidal ideation. But what I love is it's actually what you did, because he talks about how right away you need to build rapport, have trust. Building rapport, have trust. I mean, if you don't have those 2 things, like you were building rapport from the moment that you picked him up, mm-hmm. talked to him. He was like, I'm here for you, call me. He didn't call you, but he knew. Mm-hmm. And so the next time you picked him up, that trust that he had built just allowed him to say what he needed to say is, I don't even want to make it through the night. And then working relationship. So I felt like that last step of having a working relationship was you being like, everything on pause. I'm here for you now. We're working on it now, mm-hmm. right? And I think we need to do more of that with people. We don't need to wait until, oh, well, you know what, maybe later, maybe tomorrow. You could have easily been like, dude, that's not the right way to go. Drop you off, sleep it off. We'll talk to you in the morning. Mm-hmm. But no, we need to right away be working. And I think that that's what all of us need to do. It doesn't matter whether it's solution focused or not. We need to be willing to do the work. Have, to me, a very unique job mm-hmm. in the forces, because there's a million of them. I mean, people don't realize, maybe the civilians of us out there don't realize that it's almost like you guys we have all of our jobs going on, and then you have all of that also going on within your system, mm-hmm. right? And so let's talk a little bit about how you came to do what you're doing right now. To me, it's a very interesting path, and what you do to help people.
So getting to where I'm at today,
yeah.
I started off in the military as a biomedical equipment technician. Which just fix and maintain medical equipment in the hospital, right? Pretty easy. Throughout the years, again, always, it's my nature to just kind of be there for people for the most part. But in the time that I messed up in my life, my first sergeant didn't listen to me as much as I had hoped he would. He was kind of just checking the boxes, and he did a really good job. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have got the help I needed and all the things. Even though he did a really good job, I didn't feel like he was really there and didn't really listen. I knew after that I wanted to be the person that makes the difference and be the person that's there to listen to people. It took 7 years to get to my goal of being a first sergeant. It made it easier because now, I wear a diamond, so people can identify me and come to me right away. But I'm responsible for the health, morale, and welfare of whichever unit I'm in, and I advise the commander on any issues that are going on. I think I do it a little bit differently, where you really won't find me in my office very much. I'm out there with the people, rubbing shoulders, getting dirty with them, having minor conversations, building that rapport. Be surprised how many people will pull you to the side and just say, hey, I'm dealing with X, Y, and Z.
They feel comfortable with you.
Correct. I handle people problems.
Yeah.
I feel like it's my responsibility to keep people happy. They're not always going to be happy, but how do I help them figure it out? I feel like I'm more of a life coach than I am anything else. But most importantly, I lead with love, uh, my heart is on my sleeve. Like, it's there for you, whatever you need. And then how can I help? How can I take care of you?
It's not that checking the boxes is a bad thing. I mean, thank God we have those things. This is not a journey that everyone does, that comes natural to everyone. For some people, they'll never have that heart tug that you had where it's like, I want to lead differently. But thank God we have the check boxes so they can say, oh, I'm familiar with this. I've been taught this. I need to help them through these steps in order to get where they need to go. And I think that's an interesting point to make, because nothing about what I talk about on this podcast is ever to discount all of the steps that we need to take. We still need to take those steps. We still need to get them the help. We still need to have a certain amount of consequences for actions, all those things. But sometimes later you look back on it and you say, wow, I wish I would have felt more heard. I wish that it wasn't just a bunch of boxes that they checked. And that's where you're saying, I'm going to add to that normal thing that we do have to do. We have to go through it. I'm the exact same way, because we have a protocol that we go through whenever we have anyone that mentions suicide at all. Now, with students, many times they are caught up in video games and they're just saying it in that way. They don't even mean it seriously, but we're going to take every single one of those comments seriously. We're going to go through the check boxes and be like, how often are you thinking about it? Do you have a plan? On and on and on. I've done what you said, to say, you know what? At some point, if this person doesn't feel connected to me and have a rapport and feel that they trust me, they're not going to be able to really talk about what they need to do to move from thinking about ending it all to thinking about possibilities, right? And at some point, they need to be able to bridge. We don't know when it was for your friend, where he was like, I see a different ending to this. I see a way that I might be able to move on this path, which eventually led to him meeting the love of his life, getting married, getting off drugs. Suicidal ideation is not something he's dealing with at that point. To me, it's so important that if we have that call in our life, that we hear it, right? So going back to that building rapport, what do you do to kind of like set yourself up to make sure that they do feel comfortable talking to you?
The easy answer is I was just myself with them.
Yeah, real, right?
Yeah, what you get from me is what I am in uniform, right? I'm not that much different. Obviously, I have to be more professional at times and handle business, but for the most part, I let my guard down, and I give them a little bit of that vulnerability, so they can see that they can trust me, whatever it is. And I don't carry the shame I used to in some of the things that I talk about or share with my airmen, and I think that in itself is huge for them to start opening up and feeling that comfortable of, oh, hey, this dude's actually real.
Yeah.
And not just some dude trying to chase rank or step on people or any negative connotation that you would put with that, I guess. So yeah, and then when they do come to my office, I just shut up, right? Like they're there to talk to me. They have something on their mind, so then I let them go, and then we figure it out from there. And I'm prepared to be uncomfortable with them.
This is your turn to talk. I'm here with you. Being uncomfortable with them, but also normalizing it.
Yeah.
Like, that is a crazy thing, that people think they're uncomfortable, and then they get all uncomfortable, and the other person's like, oh crap, I shouldn't have even talked about this, right? But you don't do that.
One of the things that we say in the first starting community is being comfortable, or get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because you really have no idea what somebody's going to bring to you. Some of the stuff you get is like way out there. And it's like, in the back of my mind, sometimes I'm like, what the heck? Like, I don't even know what to do here. But I sit in it, like, there's no need to panic. Stay calm. What else are you feeling, right? Tell me more. Just keep giving me more information while I process this other thing you told me. And not shutting them down. And we spoke about, the suicidal ideation, and that's where it really came out for the normalizing it, right? Because people will come and it's like, we know we're not supposed to be thinking that, so then we feel bad for thinking that, but it's normal. It's totally okay to think that you want to die.
And how you react in that moment is everything.
It's the not okay thing is carrying out with it, right? So come to me, tell me that, so I can help you through it.
There's the thoughts that go through our mind that we like filter through and then we never say them out loud. And so you figure, like, when someone finally has the courage to say something like that out loud to you, this is something they've been processing for a very, very long time. This person is now sharing something that they've probably been processing and thinking about, and then now they're finally being brave enough to say it out loud. And then if I react the way we do without the training that you've had, even from being a first sergeant, they're going to say something that shakes you. They're going to say something that you didn't expect. How you react to that determines whether they go back in their shell and be like, "Ooh, I shouldn't have said that at all," or whether they get help. It's that important. What do you think that you would want to share to people that want to be a first sergeant, that they might be able to be fortunate enough to be in a job like yours? What do you wish that people would have shared with you, or what advice do you feel like you want to give to them about what will help them to be a person that actually is helpful in these critical situations?
The biggest thing is humility, right? If you're going to be giving the advice and telling them what resources to use, go through them. Go check them out. Like, you don't have to have problems to go to a counselor or a therapist, or check out alcoholic drug program. Like, see what the people are going through or would be going through, right? Get that education, understand what it is, because then when it is time to talk to that person for whatever the problem is that they're coming to you for, you already kind of know it. You can speak to it a little bit. You have the experience to lean on and say, no, this is probably the best. Or like making the recommendations. Obviously, they got to make the choices, because that's the other key part of people getting help, is they need to be ready to do it. If you force them into it, it's not going to do anything. You're going to just be this vicious cycle, revolving door in your office. But getting to them to the point where they, like my friend, right? I'm ready. They need to be ready for it.
That story that you told at the beginning is so true, where he got caught, he's put in jail. That, to most people, you'd be like, oh, that's his wake-up call, right? No, he turned right back around and got right back to where he was at the beginning. The only thing that shook him out of it is you being there. And from what you tell me, all you were is mostly there. You were present, right? So I think that a lot of lesson that we can also take away is that do the bold thing and be there with people through their hard time.
Don't cast judgment. Right? We all have skeletons in our closet. We all have done something in the past that we might be shameful of, but let it go, and don't judge somebody else for making a mistake.
That's right.
Obviously, there's some things out there that you draw the line, but for the most part, people are people, and they make people mistakes.
If I truly look at life as a journey, the twists and turns that lead you to the person that you're meant to be, then what good does it do for us to judge a person for where they're at in that moment? You know, what good does it does nothing but lets them lie there in that place, you know, and rather than saying, I'm your friend, I'm here. And even if you're a professional relationship, I'm here. And I'm the person that can be here with you now. Later on, they invite you to a wedding, you know, rather than a funeral. It's powerful. It's powerful. But I mean, my advice that I often tell people is also similar to where it's like, just be real, you know? And I feel like that's hard because we have a facade. And do you feel like that's hard for people that are holding such important places in, you know, like you guys are basically trained to take care of all of us civilians, you know, like if there's a problem, we lean on you guys to keep us safe. Do you feel as though that's a hard thing for people to do that are in the forces, to kind of like be real? Do you think that's a battle that they deal with? Or
It's a tough one. I think I get the luxury of seeing a lot of people being real just because I keep it real.
Yeah.
But obviously we have, you know, positions that we can't all let our hair down all the time. Some people are not good at it. But it is what it is. They have to draw the line and just be strictly professional. And then when they're at home, they're somebody else, and that's okay too. Like, we need that, right? That's what It's what makes it work. Is having all the different people. I'm in a great position where I can be business and your friend, um, professionally, of course. But yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that reminds me a lot of the different principals that I work with in the school system, where every school system is like their own little community, right? And you have the principals and and then the teachers, and they all have their roles that they play. And I've worked at so many different schools, it's ridiculous. But there's some principals their school is run great, everything is run to the books, but never are you going to have a teacher come to them with a problem, because they have such a hard line that it's like, oh, they're the principal, and everything works well. But then you have these other schools you go into where somehow the principal has developed the skills of saying, yes, I'm the leader, but also you can come talk to me, And I think that the more I am in communities like that, the more I think it's a skill you can learn. Do you think it's something you're just born with, or do you think that you can learn that skill?
I mean, I think it's definitely learnable. Like you just have to be willing to practice it, right? It's comes down to that. Me personally, I just think that's how I've always been. So it comes naturally to me. It's easier.
And then you have to lean into it, I guess. So, we're not all built the same. If you choose to be non-judgmental, you listen and shut up, like you said, and then you're willing to be there where they're at. Those three components have worked for you. I think that could be a takeaway of our conversation here, is just find ways that you can be there for people in brand new ways. And it can make all the difference in the world. Well, let's talk a minute about when people are deployed. You've had to be deployed. I know my brother-in-law has had to deal with moving from right away, actually, when he went into the Army, right away when he's 18. He's moved to a completely different area, away from his family, away from all of his connections. And I think that's a huge part of what you've dealt with helping people, right? When people come to you, how often are they dealing with loneliness or the fact that they're away from their family? And how can we help people that are dealing with that?
Being in the military, right, pretty much all of us have packed up and left our families back, whatever city we're from. And like for me, 18 years, I lost connections with my grandparents.
Yeah.
That hurts, but I signed up for this. And hopefully I'll get the chance in a few years to go rebuild that relationship. But yeah.
I think you're that close to retirement.
Right? It's kind of cool. But yeah, so not a lot of people come to me and are just, I'm lonely.
Okay.
Right? Usually I'm dealing with surface level problems when they're coming to me, and loneliness might be down here. So trying to get to that and figure it out. But there's also a really good community within the military. We've got each other's backs, right?
Yeah.
I like to think that every single one of them is my brother or sister, right? I love you. You're my family. I don't have to like them all, but I do love them all, and guarantee I got their back if anything were to happen.
Yeah.
But the trying to help them with that is, it's just same principles. Just be there, listen to what's going on. I've learned in my therapies most often, whatever the emotion is we're feeling is probably not the actual emotion until we take a second. And, you have to peel those layers back to figure out what the real culprit of whatever this behavior or this problem.
So interesting. The word loneliness might not actually ever come up, but everyone just kind of knows that that's a given. You might maybe not feel lonely, but you probably have someone you missed. You probably have someone you're not connected with. Probably have someone you can't see every day that you used to see every day. And that's more of we're all in that boat together, kind of thing.
I would say it's kind of just the natural given connection that we all have wearing the uniform.
Because that's, to me, is the thing that I feel like I would struggle the most with, but I never thought about that fact. But you're surrounded with all these people that also are in a similar situation. It doesn't even have to be said. They just know, where's your family? Oh, they're over wherever they're at. So how many times have you had to, you're living someplace, you feel connected, and then you have to go?
18 years, I got to count. Not as many as a lot of other people, but 5 different times.
That's crazy. Like, and each time, how long?
Most of them were like 6 months. Currently doing a year away from family right now.
If they have a 20-year span, how long do you think they spend away from what they would consider?
Like for me, like I left Chicago.
Yeah,
I left my family back there, like my
family.
extended family, right? Some people are fortunate enough to where they can get stationed close to where they grew up. For me, I wasn't, and that's okay. But I haven't been back for other than a vacation in 18 years.
Consider this. So you have a 20-year career. Of course, obviously, we don't know the stats exactly, but just off the top of your head, how many different places do you think someone would live, even let's say 6 months or longer? How many different places do you think that they'll be?
Expect at least 5.
Wow. I went to 11 different schools before I was in 10th grade. And I hated it. And the first thing that everyone asks me when they hear that is, was your parents in the military? And they weren't. They were just obsessed with moving. But it always made me curious, like, what is this military life that everyone keeps saying, oh, your parents must have been in the military? So what do you think the kids' life is like?
Well, I've got 5 of them, so I can tell you that
Tell me about it.
It's easier when they're younger. They're more resilient. But my high schooler is like, Dad, I'm done.
Yeah.
I don't want to move anymore. So I did my best to try to work with the Air Force and keep her in the same high school. So
You have 5. And your wife is also in the military.
Correct.
So tell me what she's talked to you about as far as a woman also dealing, is there differences, do you think, or is it pretty much the same?
She's been more fortunate of being more stable. She hasn't had to move around, so she has always been with the children, which is positive for her about women in the military. So I do have a member who has a 4-year-old.
Oh, wow.
And so she is spending a year away from her son. And I know, like, for men, we're not as biologically connected to our children as women are. Her sitting in my office, when I found that out, you can see her face, just the sadness. But it was important in that moment, right? I addressed it. I was like, hey, that has to be really difficult. I'm here for you if you ever need to talk, right? Stuff like that. But
It's that underlying thing we talked about. She doesn't come into every day at work being like, I really miss my 4-year-old. But that moment that you had and you saw it in her eyes, you're like, oh man, she's dealing with this. Everyone smiles on their face. Everyone's having a great time. But it's so great to know that sometimes we can just be real and be like, you know what, we can all smile, but we also go through it. And that's okay. It's part of the process. And then after you retire, you'll have to come back on here and tell me what that life is like.
I can't wait.
It won't be too long. Well, thank you. Thank you, Michael, for coming on this podcast and giving us a little insight onto your world and what you do. And I greatly appreciate it. Do you have any last things you'd like to say to people that are listening? Most of my audience, they are people that are just interested in having a positive mindset and being the best person that they're meant to be. What's your parting words?
I wasn't prepared. No, first of all, thank you for having me. This has actually been a pretty cool experience. Parting words, I said it earlier, lead with love. Get ready to be uncomfortable. Take care of each other. Shut up and listen.
Shut up and listen.
And just, life is good. Enjoy it. And I'm here for you too.
That should be the name of this podcast. Shut up and listen. All right. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Until next time.